Please don't mind my dog Mishka. She is probably going to be popping in this video because she's crazy. Hey everyone, my name is Amanda from the blog Faith in Home, and today we are going to be talking about how you can be a great guest and some simple guest etiquette to make sure that when someone's inviting you into their home, you are doing your part to make it a great experience. Please don't mind my dog Mishka. She is probably going to be popping in this video because she's crazy. But I'm downstairs just for my holiday entertaining. I thought it seemed fitting to have the kitchen and my home in the background. So yeah, most of my videos are in a different room, but for this series, I thought the kitchen seemed appropriate. But yeah, don't mind my little puppies. The first thing you can do to make sure that you're being a great guest is to confirm that you're coming. This can be an RSVP if it's a party, or if it's just a dinner at a friend's house. Check in with them a day or two before the dinner and confirm that your plans are still on. This is super nice for the hostess and even for the guests because sometimes people just forget. And it doesn't happen often, but sometimes people forget or they misschedule things on their calendar. So they'll think that you're meeting a different day than you're supposed to or a different time or whatever. So if the hostess hasn't just reached out to you to confirm your plans, reach out to them and be like, hey, just want to make sure that we're on for yada, yada, yada. And that's a really easy way that you can make the night go more smoothly for both you and the hostess. The second tip to be a good guest is to arrive on time or up to 5 minutes early. Typically, I would not arrive earlier than that because when I'm a hostess, I sometimes in scrambling at the last minute to get everything cleaned up in the kitchen or all those kind of things, just making the home presentable for when people come over. So I actually don't like it when people come too early, and I always have my dinner done on time, like 99% of the time. By the time someone walks into the door, my dinner's in the oven and ready for when they get here. So I also don't like people being late. Like 5 minutes, I kind of feel either way, early or late is your buffer zone, but really just try to be as on time as possible. And that's just a huge way to show that you respect people's time. The third tip that I have for you guys today is to not come empty-handed. So when you're going over to someone's home and they're inviting you in, whether it's an overnight stay or you're coming over for dinner or it's a party, offer to bring something, a dish or something. And if the hostess tells you you don't need to, then you are off the hook, but I still like to bring flowers or some kind of special little treat if the hostess tells me that I don't need to bring anything. And then of course, if they tell me to bring something in particular, like a salad or a dessert or a wine, then I will do that. But just offering to bring something is definitely sufficient. And if they tell you that you don't need to, then don't feel the pressure to bring something. But if you want to bring a special little gift, then that's always super appreciated. The fourth tip that I have for you guys today is particularly useful if you have children. But if you don't, still make sure that you're doing this. And it's to check in on house rules. If you have children, I would check in on the house rules before you come over. Like, hey, is there anything that my kids should know? Like, don't go into certain rooms or stuff like that. So you can tell your kids beforehand, before you walk in the door, so they know your expectations for them. But if it's just you, then when you walk in, a simple house rule for a lot of people is shoes off. So asking those kind of things and making sure that you're following house rules is always super appreciated, because if you're the hostess and someone doesn't ask, sometimes you feel a little naggy if you're telling them, like, please take off your shoes or something. So it's nice when they initiate the conversation and you don't feel as much like you're being a nag to your guests. So just keeping in mind that people do usually have a way that they like to run their house, And if you ask like, hey, is there any house rules? Then that just kind of gets that out of the way, and you can make sure that you're respecting everything that they want done. The fifth tip that I have for you guys is before you leave, offer to clean up. Even if the hostess says no, just offering to help is something that a lot of people forget to do, and it's always really nice to have help offered. Typically, I will tell my guests no because it's just something that I like to take care of when they're gone. I like to treat my guests when they come over, and I try to make the experience as relaxing as possible in like an oasis kinda. So usually I will deny help, but I will say yes if it's like a big party that was going on, or I'm hosting like a women's night or something. If the women want to help clean up afterwards, that is a time that I will say yes. But if I'm just having a family over for dinner, I typically say no, like don't worry about it, I'll take care of it later. But it's always still nice for the guests to offer to help me, and it's definitely something that I wouldn't expect, but it's just a nice courtesy. My sixth tip to being a good guest is making sure that you don't overstay your welcome. So especially if your hostess has kids or it's a party or something, try to figure out typical bedtimes and all that kind of stuff so you know you aren't overstaying your welcome. I feel like hostess will typically kind of make it obvious when the night starts dying down, and a ton of hostess won't mind if you stay till 9 or 10 o'clock, but some people are going to have their night routines. And so just try to be aware of that going in. Like if you don't have an early curfew and you have kids that you have to put down to bed, then check with your hostess to see when their kids' bedtimes are and like when they normally go to sleep, so you can keep an eye on the clock and make sure that you're not staying too long. And if you're at a party, a good way to kind of sense when to leave is after a few couples have already left. I don't like being the first person to leave typically. I like to wait for 1 or 2 other people to leave, but I also usually don't like being the last person to leave. So depending on your relationship and how close you are with someone, maybe you'll want to be the last because you know that would be the most uplifting to them and encouraging. But if you aren't super close with someone and you don't know the way of their house and when they're wanting things to die down, try to make sure that you're kind of just leaving with traffic and not being the last and holding up the whole night. Okay, my last piece of advice for guest etiquette is to thank your hostess, and especially if you were an overnight guest, go out of your way to thank them, either by sending a text later that night, or even I've had some people send me thank you cards in the mail, and that is so much appreciated. I love the personal touch of taking the time to handwrite something and mail it out. But even a text is just super awesome to, once you go home that night or the next morning, just reaffirm your hostess that you appreciated them inviting you in and you had a great time, and saying thank you, would love to do it again. You can even extend an offer to host them yourselves. But just a simple thanks goes a long ways and makes your hostess feel super appreciated and loved. All right, you guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you feel inspired to be an awesome guest to your hostess, and that you guys learned some tips and tricks that you didn't know before or hadn't thought of. Make sure to subscribe down below, hit the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. That super helps with just getting this video recognized. Also, stay tuned for later this week because I have a giveaway coming up for all you pregnant mamas, and I'm super excited about it. Anyways, I will see you guys next time. Bye.